Welcome back, guys. So, part 2 of the Boomerang build. Hopefully we can get a bit more done for you today. I just got to stop babbling on and get on with it, don't I? So, we have our gearbox assembly from the last video. Now it's time to attach our pinion. Now they give you 2 pinions in the kit. They give you a 13 tooth and a 15 tooth, but they are 0.8 module gears. If you don't know what that means, or you don't know how to measure your gear pitch, we'll put a link to a video up here where we explain exactly how to do it. So I actually found a 16 tooth pinion in my box, so that'll give us a little bit more speed. So getting straight into it, I'm going to put some thread lock onto this grub screw here. If you can just open that up for me, please, Zach. I'm going to try and work a little bit faster. Like I said, this is the first Boomerang I've ever built. I mentioned I have built the Hotshot before, but a very long time ago. So some of these parts are just new to me, and I'm trying to work out how things actually go together. So they give you this this part here, which is a spacer to set your, and that should go on first, shouldn't it? So your motor plate first. Line up your actual screw holes, not the slotted holes in the motor. Line up your pinion with your shaft, with the flap on the shaft, and it's simply telling you just to slide that in like this until your pinion meets up with the plastic part. You do up your grub screw, and that part can come out and go into the pinion bag later on. Oh, that's sticking out a long way, isn't it? So there's no actual way to look in there to see if it's lined up or not. That's a shame. So that's our motor ready to go. Now, I mentioned in the last video, they tell you to remove propeller joint before attaching. Remove it before you attach it. Makes absolutely no sense. I'm guessing they're talking about fitting the motor, but I don't understand why. Is it because you can't get to that screw? Yes, that's got to be it, because you've got a screw and a washer. A plastic washer that's actually quite large. So you're not actually, well, can you? Right, you can get that screw in there. Are you going to be able to get your screwdriver in there? You can. So I see no reason why that has to come out. Alright, so I'm going to line up this first screw, because the other screw you have to use your set plates to set your pinion mesh, your gear mesh. Alright, so I'm just screwing that one in loosely. I'll just get rid of this thread lock before I make a mess. Now it tells you where to run your set plates as to what pinion you are using. So we are using a 16 tooth pinion, so we need 1 set plate on the bottom and 3 on the top. Now this isn't going to be awkward at all, is it, guys? It actually shouldn't be, because, so I'm just getting my screws out of the box over here. There's a tool under there. Geez, we're organised today. So, because I've done the first screw up just a little bit loosely, I'm going to just twist the motor so that the gear meshes up. And then, that's not going to work, is it? Okay, this might be a bit trickier than I first thought. So you have to somehow set all these set plates in first. Are they actually supposed to sit all the way in? Alright, so I've made a huge mistake here. Alright. That big plastic washer actually goes over those set plates. And there's a tube that goes into these halves. Right, so as I've said in previous videos, we make mistakes. And we're not scared to show them. And at least if you can see our mistakes, then you don't need to make them. So, where's my tweezers? There. Okay, so our crush tube. Our crush tube for our motor screw. Put our screw in. Line up our screw hole there. There's no washer to go on that, no. Alright, just going to do it up loosely. Now these set plates. And of course they're falling around all over the place. I'm just putting that plastic washer on the screw, and then you can't. There we go. Maybe. Nope. So you're kind of working by braille here. Got to kind of feel your way around. I felt the screw bite just then, and yeah, that actually pulled all those set plates in to where they need to go. So we'll just nip up those motor screws and did it all without having to take that part out. So I don't know why you need to take that part out. Okay, so moment of truth. We're going to do our usual trick where if we can't run an assembled gearbox, I'm using 2 AA batteries. It usually only takes 1, but I think the Sport G needs a bit more oomph to get it going. So you're going to have to help me out here, mate. So if you can't run your gearbox off a couple of AA batteries, now you guys can't see that. You might be able to hear it if the car's outside and stop driving past. I really have to make something better for this. So you can probably hear that. You might be able to see it. Everything's running smoothly. So all that worry about that gearbox not fitting together properly, all for naught, really. Everything's fine. So that is step 5 completed. So we can put that aside for a second because we are now working on the front differential. Hopefully this goes a little bit quicker for you guys. So we have this gear here with a ball bearing. Oh, yeah. Zach's organised everything nicely. He's very good at that. And an 850 bearing, and that's one gear made up. Our transfer gear, you might want to call it. Another ball bearing, and sadly a bronze bushing, and of course your actual differential gear. And again, I'm greasing up the parts. Oh, I've got another one of them, so there we go. Greasing up the holes where the part actually sits in, and we can install our bevel gears. When you put these in, just do give them a bit of a push so that they sit in properly. Right, and that is step 6, nice and simple. So we have our first transmission half here, which I think is this section. We go in with a ball bearing and our drive cup and an E-ring. E-clip. They're not a C-ring though, guys. They're an E-ring. I'll show you why in a sec. And yes, I know I'm blabbing a bit, but hopefully we can sort of educate some people at the same time. It's called an E-ring simply because it looks like a round E. It's got that little tab in the center. If it didn't have that, it'd be a C-ring. It's as simple as that. So that's our drive cup installed with the E-ring. Need that. Nope. Need that gear there. I've got it wrong again. That can just go straight on there like that. And our bevel gear, pretty much the same. as the front, as the rear, sorry. Another 850 bearing. I did say before that if we wanted to change over to ball bearings with the 850s, we can just pull it apart and do it then. But so far this gearbox has given me a little bit of grief. But once it's all done, I reckon wouldn't be too bad to pull back apart and put some 850s in, but I won't be very keen on it, let's put it that way. So a little bit of grease in the bearing this time. Using my tweezers to slide that in. And then our bevel gear with the thrust bearing. We explained in the last video the difference between a thrust bearing and a standard ball bearing. Okay, so on this one I'm going to use the sealed ball bearing in here, and our outdrive and our cup, which we found out just clips on like that. And then it's just a matter of lining everything up, and a bit handy to. All right, there we go. It's just a matter of giving it a bit of a wiggle until everything fits. Now, grease, my friends. It's grease. Don't forget the grease. Here's the word. Here's the word that you heard. Grease is good. Okay. That is, I believe, that half of the transmission. It feels like we're going along a little bit quicker this time. So another ball bearing in there, another drive cup, and another E-clip. Again, these E-clips, it's just a matter of practice. And a nice square, straight, grippy set of pliers really does help. And we just give it a spin, make sure it's seated correctly. Then we have another bevel gear. Might as well grease that up while we're here. So again, it's probably telling you to use the moly grease, which it is. So a little bit of moly grease in that hole there. It's telling you to grease up the whole shaft, but I am just going to grease up the holes where it actually goes. Well, that can go in a minute actually. So we have two tubes here, a 30 and a 25. So we'll go with the 25, and that sits inside the E2. I don't know if you can hear it, but our Jack Russell is outside, fast asleep and dreaming. I don't know what she's dreaming about, but she's going off in the sleep, little yips and barks and stuff. And Zach's standing over here pissing himself laughing, trying not to laugh too loud for you guys. And now that we're talking about that, I forgot to put grease in that in that bearing. There. If you're a dog person, get yourself a Jack Russell. They're friggin' hilarious. They can be a pain too, but they're pretty funny. There she goes again. Alright, so I'm going to put this gear in first. Another tube and another grease. Careful. Alright, slide that tube through there. And it'll just sit there. And this one, we might grease that first. Alright, so I think I've gone through all the leftover grease, so I'll open a new one. Oh, it's a boy. Open a new one and get a nice healthy amount of grease on that counter gear there. And see if we can line up this tube. I think that's right. Okay, so that's good. We might grease this gear up while we're here. Thought my rag went missing there. And our differential gear. Now we've already greased up the side gear. Now the side bevel gear, you can put more grease on these if you want. Again, if you don't have spare grease pots laying around, then you have to be a little bit, you have to meter out how much grease you actually use, because you don't want to go running out. But like I said, we've got grease everywhere. So, I mean, in storage and literally everywhere. It's our gears. I might try and squeeze another bit more grease on that main spur gear there, or main differential gear, sorry. That's all pretty straightforward. All that's left in the tin is this 2mm shaft, which will just slide in there. And then we're up to step 8, where we just put the two halves together. Have we got parts for that, mate? Yep. Thank you. That little hex piece looks like it just kind of floats in there, so here we go. Hold your tongue right and line up all the shafts and stuff. And we'll just give that pin a bit of a shove through. I'm really not sure why that pin goes all the way through. I mean, once the dry shafts are in, it really can't fall out, can it? But that just seems strange. Right, so this hex piece, it says you do have to be mindful of the direction of that threaded hole, and it's telling you it goes directly up and down like that, because I think that's where your front bumper screws onto. So we have another 3x27 screw coming through that way. And why is there only one flange nut? That's interesting. Okay, so there's that. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and run the self tappers in. I didn't do my usual trick where I grease up the holes for the self tappers. It shouldn't be an issue. Well, it really isn't an issue, but it just makes things a little bit easier, especially on these hard plastic parts. Now, we can't test this gearbox with the motor, not yet anyway. Basically, it has to all be bolted in for us to test it out. At which point, it's kind of too late if you get something wrong, and then you've got to pull the whole thing apart and start again. But I will take my blade screwdriver and just give that a spin. Yeah, it feels about the same as the rear differential. This one we've got to do up. And that's handy, it doesn't even fit. So this is where we still keep the box wrench handy, because sometimes you do use it. Alright, everything's... Oh, yeah, we're going for time.
23.5 minutes.
Okay, so that's the end of step 8. And we have both our front and rear transmissions ready to go. They're going to sit something like that. So that's going to be another. I've got another screw here left over. Hey, where did he come from? All right, so where does he go? Where am I? Which way am I looking? He goes in there. So okay. So they again want you to use a machine screw as a self-tapping screw. I don't know why they couldn't make it a through hole and put a nut on the other side. All right, so while I'm doing this, thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Have a great day. And we'll see you on the next video, where we start putting suspension parts together. All right, see you then. Bye.